All right, welcome back. So last time we were able to finish the base game, and now we're ready to add some power-ups into this. So let's start by um, adding a global script. First of all, let me just color my base folders here, just so it's a little easier to see what we got going on here. So let's come into auto loads here and create a new script. We'll name this power ups. And let's go to our project settings and add this to our globals. And let's get right into it. Let's start with an enum power up type. So we're going to add some ball power ups to start with. We have multi-ball, we have big ball, and we have fireball. Let's add a couple concepts here. Power up chance. As a float, we'll set this to 66% just to test it out. Let's hold a const of the ball scene here because we're going to be spawning in multi-balls. Let's hold a couple consts for all the gradients that we're going to need. So we have gradient normal. And let's copy this 3 more times. Gradient normal, we have gradient multi, we have gradient fire, and we have gradient fire multi. And then let's also hold a couple textures for the balls. So ball texture normal. And let's copy that 3 more times. We have the multi. We have the fire. And the fire multi. So let's go ahead and add those in. Our ball scene is under entities ball here. Let's grab that. Our gradients are under resources, gradients. We have the normal, the multi, the fire, and the fire multi. And then for textures, let's come to assets here. And here's our normal ball. Here's our multi-ball. Here's our fireball. Here's our fire multi. So let's come into the ready function. And we'll do events.powerup.connect to on power up. So let's create that signal. Come into event, signal here, power up. And we will pass in the type as a power up type. We'll pass in whatever ball triggered it as a rigid body 2D. So let's have a couple functions in here. Let's have a set brick power up. We'll pass in the brick. So let's have a power up type role. is an int equals randi range between 0 and power up type dot size. And we will match that power up type role. If we get a 0, we will do brick dot set power up type dot multiball. And let's copy this 2 more times. And if we get a 1, we'll do a big ball. And if we get a 2, we'll do a fireball. Let's create the function for creating a multi-ball. We're going to pass in a ball. It's rigid body 2D. Let's do var ball instance as a rigid body 2D equals our ball scene dot instantiate. Let's go to the game manager dot balls parent dot call deferred, and we will add child on that ball instance. Now let's just double check on our game manager that we have that balls parent. It doesn't look like we do. Let's go to our game here and let's create a new node. Name this balls. And then on the game manager, we can have an onReady var balls parent be a node. Tunnel. And where would we like to set this ball's parent? We can do it anywhere really. I guess we could do it on level 01. Looks like I'm doing it on main. So let's go to our scenes here, our main scene. Open that up. And we have a script here. In the ready for this, when we change over to the game scene, let's do game manager dot balls parent equals the scene instance dot get node balls. That should work. So we have that balls parent set on the game manager. Let's call ball instance dot set deferred freeze to true. And then we will await 1 frame. So let's get tree process frame. And then let's set all the ball instance stuff. So let's set its global position equal to the ball that spawned its global position. Let's set the ball instance dot linear velocity equal to a vector 2 of the ball that spawned its linear velocity dot x plus 15 degrees, or plus 15 pixels per second, and then ball.linear velocity dot y. Let's take the ball instance, is multi-ball equal to true. We haven't set that up just yet, but we will in just a second. Let's take the ball instance, sprite 2D dot texture equal to the ball texture multi. Let's take the ball instance dot GPU particles 2D. It's process material. And let's duplicate that, because we want to change it, but we don't want to change it on all the balls. We only want to change it on this ball. So to do that, we need to take its process material, and duplicate. And we'll set true so that it duplicates everything on the process material. So that way you have a duplicated copy of that process material. Shrink this down a little bit. We can now change it without changing every instance of it. So let's take its, let's go into the process material, grab its color ramp and its gradient within that color ramp and set it to gradient multi. Let's also go into the ball instance dot multi-ball timer and start that. And then ball instance dot freeze equals false. So we'll go into the ball next and set all that up, but now we can have a way to spawn multi-balls. So let's do function on power up, and we're going to grab the type as a power ups dot, we can just call this a power up type because we're already in power ups. And then ball is a rigid body 2D. So here, if type is equal to power up type dot multi-ball, we will call multi-ball and pass in that ball that spawned it. So this still isn't liking this. Could not resolve external class power up. So let's add a class name on this, power up. That should be good. Let's check our events here. This needs to be power up dot power up type, because we're grabbing this enum right here. So okay, we grabbed that. That looks good. Let's go to the ball now. And we'll add a couple things in here. We'll add is multi-ball. We'll add is fireball. And let's open up the ball here and let's add a couple timers here. So let's add a timer. This is going to be the multi-ball timer. We can change the wait time on that to 30 seconds. We'll do one shot on that, and then we'll duplicate that 2 more times. So this next one will be the big ball timer. This last one will be the fireball timer. Also, while we're in here, let's add an audio stream player. And this will be the fire stream player. So for this fire stream player, let's find the noise I want to use here. Is it this one? Yes. Let's add that noise on there. Let's grab all these timers and we'll put them up at the top of the script. We'll access those as unique name. We'll also access the fireball or the fire stream player's unique name. Let's grab all those and drag those in as onReady vars and the fire stream player. Let's also access the GPU particles. Let's access all of these as unique name, all three of these. Access as unique name, drag these in as well. So let's come down here and connect to a couple signals. We'll do events.gameover.connect to on game over. And let's also connect to that power up signal. And then here, we don't want to reset the ball unless we're the original ball. So kind of a quick and janky way to get around that, it will say if name is equal to ball, then we'll reset the ball. Because in our game here, the only ball that's going to be named ball is going to be the first ball under the ball's parent. So let's put the ball under the ball's parent. And then every other ball that we spawn into this will have a different name. It'll just be rigid body, like a bunch of numbers. So the original ball will be the only one that's name is still ball. So that's how we can tell what the original ball is. So let's have a function here. Let's say reset power-ups. So to reset the power-ups, we'll just say big ball timer dot stop, and we'll do fireball timer dot stop. And let's connect to these signals on the timers now. Let's connect to the timeout signal on all of these timers. So if multi-ball timer times out, we'll just say Q free on that. If the big ball timer times out, we'll say var normal ball scale as a vector2 is equal to vector2 of 1.0 and 1.0. We'll take our GPU particles 2D dot process material dot scale and set that to a vector2 of 0.13 and 0.13. We'll take our sprite 2D scale, set that back to the normal ball scale, and we'll take our collision shape 2D dot scale equals the normal ball scale. And finally, on the fireball timer timeout, we'll say is fireball equals false. We're going to need an area 2D in here. And we'll call this fire area 2D. Let's add, let's copy and paste this collision shape here. Let's access this as a unique name and also drag it in here. So we'll say fire area 2D dot monitoring equals false. We will set collision mask value of layer 4 back to true. So this here, we haven't set up the fireballs yet, but basically when we have a fireball active, I don't want it to be bouncing off of any bricks using this collision shape. We're just going to use a fire area 2D to detect when we hit a brick and just destroy the brick without actually bouncing off of it. So if we click on our rigid body 2D here and we see this mask layer 4 is the brick. So here we're turning it back on, but when we start the fireball, we will turn this off so that we're not actually bouncing off of any bricks when we're in fireball mode. So we'll say if is multi-ball, then we'll take our sprite 2D.texture equal to power ups dot, or is this just power up? I think it's power ups. Power ups. Let's check this. Power up. Should this be power ups? Pretty sure this should. So come back into your events, your signal, power up signal, and make sure this is power ups. Because that's what we called it in the globals. So power ups, ball texture multi. And then we will take our GPU particles 2D dot process material dot color ramp dot gradient equal to power ups dot gradient multi. And then else means it's a normal ball. We will copy these two lines. And we'll set that ball texture normal and gradient normal. So I'm kind of doing this a little backwards and a little all over the place because I set this up already. So let's create the on power up. Let's create that right here. Let's say function on power up. It's going to take in a type as power ups dot power up type and a ball as a rigid body 2D. So if ball is not equal to self, then we're just going to return out of this. We'll say if type is equal to power ups dot power up type dot big ball, then we'll take our big ball timer and start it. And we will set a big ball scale here of vector 2 equal to vector 2 of 2.0, 2.0. So the ball will be twice as big. Take our GPU particles 2D, grab its process material. All right, we're going to duplicate its process material, actually. So let's take its process material and duplicate that. And do we want to duplicate it? I think so. We'll take the GPU particles 2D process material dot scale equal to a vector 2 of 0.25 and 0.25. Actually, we don't need to deduplicate this because we're not messing with the gradient or anything like that in this. We're just messing with the scale. So we only need like a light duplicate. And the scale on our process material is already 0.13, so this is basically doubling it. We'll take our sprite 2D.scale equal to the big ball scale, and we'll take that collision shape 2D scale equal to the big ball scale. And we'll say else if type is equal to power-ups dot power-up type dot fireball. We'll start that fireball timer. We'll set is fireball equal to true. We'll take our fire area 2D dot monitoring equal to true. And we'll set that collision mask value of layer 4 to false so that we're not detecting collisions on the rigid body itself. We're only doing it in the fire area 2D, so we're not bouncing. We'll say if is multi-ball, then the sprite 2D dot texture is going to be equal to our power ups dot ball texture fire multi. And we'll take our GPU particles 2D process material color ramp dot gradient equal to power ups dot gradient fire multi. Else we'll copy these two lines here, and this will just be the fire texture, and this will just be the fire gradient. So let's come to play bounce SFX. Let's have another function here. Play fire SFX. So we'll do firestream player dot pitch scale. It's equal to a rand f range between 0.8 and 1.2. And then we will take that firestream player dot play. Let's come up to reset ball here, and on the second line here, let's call that reset power-ups. And also let's come into reset power-ups, and we'll just call on big ball timer timeout and on fireball timer timeout here, and that'll reset everything. All right, let's connect to this on game over. Put that below on power ups function on game over. And where do I have that? Yeah, on game over, we'll just call reset ball. Do I already have it on game over? I guess not. Okay, let's connect to the on fire area body entered signal. down here at the bottom. And when we enter the fire area, we will break a brick with our body. And then we will play the fire SFX sound. So we don't have break brick. So let's create that right here. Function break brick. And this is going to take in a body, the node. So in here, we'll increase speed. We do game manager dot add score. The game manager dot points brick. We'll say if body dot is power up. We'll do events dot power up dot emit with the body dot get power up type, and we haven't set up the bricks just yet to do that, but we will. And we'll pass in the ball, which is ourself. And then we can do body.queueFree. And we can do events.brickbroken.emit. And so where do we want to call this? In body entered here. So instead of calling all this manually here, we will do break brick, and we'll pass in the body there. Okay. Here on the bottom wall static body 2D, let's say if is multi-ball, then we're just going to queue free. We're not going to minus a life if we're a multi-ball here. So the multi-balls won't count if they go off the bottom of the screen. Now, I think that should do it for the balls. So let's come into the brick. Save that, and we'll come into the brick here. And let's do var is power up. The bool equals false, and var power up type. Power up stop power up type. And put underscores in front of those. I think they'll be private variables. So let's do function set power up. And this will pass in a type. We'll say is power up. That's true. I think that we do want I think we're going to be calling this outside here. So let's take that underscore off there. We'll do power up type is equal to type. And I guess we won't have underscores on there until we need them. But let's come into the brick here and let's add an animation player on this. And let's create a new animation here. I'm just going to name this Pulse. And let's have it snap every 0.25 seconds. Click this so it applies snapping to the timeline. This will be 0.5 seconds and it will loop. So at the 0 mark here, let's go to our sprite 2D, go to its self-modulate, and let's keyframe that. Then we'll go to 0.25 seconds. We'll turn the alpha down to about half. And then we'll keyframe that, and then we'll go to 0.5 seconds, and we'll turn the alpha back up to full and keyframe that. Just so it has a pulsing animation. Let's check this out. Yeah, just like that. Okay. So let's go back into our script here, and we'll call that animation. We'll do animation layer dot play pulse when we set a power up type. And then let's have a getter function down here. We'll have get power up type. And this will return a power up dot power up type. Okay, let's come to our brick manager script here. When we spawn the bricks, let's give it a chance for it to be a power up brick. So a var power up chance roll. So float equals randf. We'll say if power up chance roll is less than or equal to power ups dot power up chance, then we'll say power ups dot set brick power up on this brick instance. And that should be enough to get us going with some power-ups. So let's test this out, see if I hooked up everything correctly. Turn down the music here. So we can see the flashing ones are the ones that have a power-up. So let's try to hit one of those. Boom, we got big ball. And okay, so something went wrong there. We got to fix that. This multi-ball should not be sticking to the paddle. Okay, so when we got a multi-ball, it spawned on the paddle's location instead of spawning on the ball that spawned its location. And we don't want it to stick to the paddle right when it spawns. So I thought we fixed that by when we do the ready by if name equals ball, reset ball. So let's get that to happen again and see what's going on there. Okay, we got a multi-ball and it's stuck to the paddle. So let's look at our remote tree here. And we have a ball outside of balls, and that is what's going wrong. So I thought that we set ball to be inside of here, but it's not registering that change. So let's open up the main scene. And so when we're loading in this game scene, ball is under balls. But it doesn't seem to be registering that change. So under main, we're resing this as we're loading it here. So let's try that one more time. We got a fireball that's invalid access to key or property is power up on base object of static body 2D. So body.is power up. That's our brick. So body is power up is right here. On the brick. So we should be able to see that. Also, another thing that I just realized is on our fire area 2D, we didn't set up these collision layers properly. So let's turn off its layers. For its mask, we only want it to hit bricks. So on your fire area 2D, make sure you just put the mask to layer 4. And that should be good. So this break brick is not recognizing is power up. So where do we call this? Call it here, and this is where we pass in the body. So if body is brick, so we're definitely passing a brick in. So body.is power up. Should be able to recognize that. As we're testing this, let's go ahead and just test one of these at a time. So here, let's test the multi-ball first. So we're only going to spawn multi-balls here. Let's try this. Okay. Let's go to the remote scene tree here under game. The ball is not inside the ball's parent. But here on our... Oh, the ball's not inside the ball's parent anymore. What happened here? Okay, let's make sure we do that and then save. So the ball is definitely inside the ball parent. Okay, now they're spawning, right? And we lost a life, but our multi-balls didn't kill themselves, and all the balls didn't kill themselves. So down here is where we are removing a life. So let's come into the game manager here. And under remove life, let's have a function to reset the balls. Let's come down here. Let's do reset balls. Say for child is the variant in balls parent dot get children. If child dot name is equal to ball, we will return because that's our original ball. We don't want to delete that. And then we'll just do child dot queue free to clear all the other balls. And we'll call that under remove life. And that should be good. So let's test this out again. There we go. We're going to spawn a ton of balls now. Okay, let's let this die and this should reset, and it didn't. So let's hit pause here and let's look at the remote tree again. Let's look at our game balls. So we have those 3 balls. We have the 2 multi-balls and our regular ball. And when we remove a life, we reset balls. And when we're resetting the balls, we're cycling through the ball's parent. And we're queuing free all the balls that aren't named ball. Let's just do a print statement here and say ball's parent children amount. And let's pass this in and see that we're getting get children, get child count. Dude, I can't keep them alive. Ah, shoot. All right, let's let this ball die. Pause that. Output. Children amount 4. Children amount 4. We have 4 here. It should then cycle through the children. And no, we don't need to return. We're returning here. We need to continue here instead. We don't want to return out of the whole function if we hit ball. We just want to continue to the next loop, and then it will loop through the rest of these and clear them. There we go. So now it reset. Let's go back to power-ups here and change this back to power-up type.size. So the fireballs aren't working. Fireballs should not be deflecting. They shouldn't be deflecting off bricks once they're in fireball mode. So let's go back to here. When we're setting the fireball here, so here's where we're setting the fireball. We're disabling layer 4 here on the mask, so it shouldn't be detecting the bricks. Let's turn monitoring off here to start. For one. So make sure you fire area 2D as monitoring is off to start. But let's see here. So fireball timer start. Is fireballs true? We're monitoring on the area 2D. We're setting the collision mask value of layer 4 to false. And then we're just setting its visuals. So here, based on value, enables or disables that specific layer in the collision mask. So we're definitely doing that. Let's go to power up types and we'll just say 1-to-1s. These are always going to be fireballs. Or no, that's big ball. We'll say 2-to-2 so we can test these fireballs out. It's a fireball. So now it should go through the bricks and it's not. Let's pause this and let's take a look at the remote scene tree. Let's take a look at this ball itself. So its fireball is on. Here's our fire area. Let's look at its collision mask. Yeah, its collision mask is turned off for the brick. Fire area 2D is monitoring. So its collision mask is turned off for the bricks, but it's still colliding with the bricks. And if we go to brick, it's on layer 1, that's why. Our bricks are on layer 1. We want our bricks to be on layer 4. And they don't need a mask. They don't need to be looking for anything. That's why. Okay. So make sure you come to your brick and you make sure its collision layer is on layer 4 with no mask. And let's try that out again. So we got a fireball. Now it should just melt through here. There we go. Okay, let's go back to power-ups and change this back to 0 and power-up type size. And that should be it. Yeah, we got a big fireball now. Whoa. Yep, things are going nuts. And then we lose them and then everything resets. All right, let's try to beat the level. Make sure it resets correctly. Ah. Come on, get over there. Okay, whatever. I'm pretty sure it resets correctly. Okay, we can get rid of that print statement. Where did we set that? Was that in the game manager? We can get rid of this print statement here. Don't need that. And there we go. So now we have our power-ups scaffolding set up. We have multi-ball, big ball, and fireball. Next, we'll do some paddle power-ups. So we'll do things like split paddle, big paddle, magnet paddle. So I'll see you in the next one for that.